Name day bell. Ancient Egypt. Answer the following questions on the Great Cam. 1. In Mesopotamia and Egypt, the people used the technology of leading water from a river to farmlands so that crops can be watered. What is this technology called? A. Domestication. B. Irrigation. C. Papyrus. D. Gathering. 2. On which continent is Egypt located? A. Africa. B. Asia. C. North America. D. South America. 3. Which of the following inventions was created by Egyptians? A. Wheel. B. Plow. C. Cuneiform. D. Paper. 4. Egyptians and Mesopotamians were polytheistic. What does polytheism mean? A. Believe that the king is a god. B. Believe that the earth itself is a god. C. Belief in more than one god. D. Belief in an afterlife. 5. Egypt is surrounded by desert. The desert is hot, dry land. What is an advantage of having this natural barrier? A. It looked nice. B. For protection. C. To help grow crops. D. For riding. 6. Which direction does the Nile River flow? A. North. B. South. C. East. D. West. 7. What is important about the Nile River? A. It is the longest river in the world. B. It is the deepest river in the world. C. It is the shortest river in the world. D. It is the widest river in the world. 8. Which of these is the form of writing used by ancient Egyptians? A. Punctuation. B. Painting. C. Hieroglyphics. D. Cuneiform. 9. How did understanding the flood cycles of the Nile help the Egyptian civilization thrive? A. The Egyptians were able to use the floods to their benefit, such as to irrigate crops. B. The Egyptians were able to create water rides on the Nile, attracting tourism and money. C. The Egyptians were able to keep the river from overflowing. D. The Egyptians were able to determine when the fishing would be best on the Nile. 10. Which was not a way in which the Nile helped the Egyptians? A. The Nile was a means of transporting goods. B. The Nile allowed them to grow crops. C. The Nile flooded, destroying crops and killing people. D. The Nile provided fresh water for them to drink. 11. What long-term benefit came from hieroglyphics? A. It kept them from traveling the Nile. B. It helped them make paper. C. It attracted more settlers. D. It preserved historical records. did thousands of Egyptian farmers do while the Nile was flooding their fields? A. They began growing rice. B. They moved away and joined the army. C. They built and sold boats. D. They worked on royal projects, such as building the Great Pyramid. 13. Which discovery led to the ability to decode hieroglyphics? A. Nile River Valley. B. Old Kingdom. C. Rosetta Stone. D. Great Pyramid. 14. Why were calendars important to the Egyptians? A. Calendars allowed them to track how long it took each of their crops to sprout and grow. B. Calendars allowed them to celebrate important events such as marriages and births. C. Calendars allowed them to know precisely when to worship each of their many gods. D. Calendars allowed them to track the number of days between flooding cycles. Use the picture to answer 15. 15. What does this map show about the importance of the Nile River to the people of ancient Egypt? A. It permitted ancient Egyptians to travel by water to the Red Sea. B. It made mining more important than farming to the economy. C. It helped Egyptians to ship mineral resources from one place to another. D. The Nile River made the upper and lower parts of Egypt difficult to unite. A chart of ancient Egyptian society is shown. What conclusion can be drawn from this chart? A. By working hard, slaves could move up in Egyptian society. B. Scribes were more important in ancient Egypt than high priests. C. The pharaoh held supreme authority over all groups in Egyptian society. D. Farmers and laborers had the same status as servants and slaves. 17. An ancient Egyptian hymn contains this line: "The bringer of food, rich in provisions, creator of all that is good, Lord of majesty, sweet of fragrance." What does the line of the hymn refer to? A. Tigris and Euphrates rivers. B. Egyptian pyramids. C. Nile River. D. Trade routes with China. 18. A passage about how papyrus is made is shown below. Papyrus is made from a reed plant that grows along the Nile River. Egyptians used the plant stems to make papyrus. The inner layer of the stem was sliced with a second layer on top at a right angle. Then it was soaked in water and pressed under a heavy rock for 21 days. The plant's juices acted as a glue to bond the strips together. The outcome was a sheet, which was hammered flat and dried in the sunday. Then a scribe or priest could write on it. Which conclusion can be drawn from this passage? A. Egyptians became wealthy from selling papyrus to other peoples. B. The Nile River benefited ancient Egyptians in various ways. C. Boats were more important to ancient Egyptians than papyrus was. D. Without papyrus, Egypt could not have created hieroglyphics. 19. About 80 pyramids still survive from ancient Egyptian times. Which statement best explains the role that pyramids played in ancient Egypt? A. They were used to store grain for times of famine. B. They provided tombs for pharaohs and their families. C. They were used as forts to protect pharaohs and their nobles. D. They provided protection to nobles during an invasion. 20. An ancient frieze architectural decoration is shown below. This frieze shows farmers using special tools to move water from the Nile River along a ditch to irrigate their farmlands. Where was this frieze most likely found? A. At the burial site of an ancient Indian king. B. Inside an Egyptian pharaoh's tomb. C. Outside the burial chamber of an ancient Shung ruler. D. In a cave in Mesopotamia. 21. What two types of governments would ancient Egyptians have had? A. Democracy. B. Theocracy. C. Monarchy. D. Dictatorship. Use the timeline to answer questions 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 22. What type of timeline is represented above? A. Single-tier timeline. B. Number timeline. C. Multi-tier timeline. D. Text timeline. 23. What would be the best title for this timeline? A. Key events in all River Valley civilizations. B. Key developments in the history of ancient Egypt. C. The history of rulers of Mesopotamia. D. Key developments in ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. 24. Which of the following events happened first? A. King Sargon untied Sumerian cities. B. Stepped pyramid is built for Pharaoh Zoser. C. Reign of Hammurabians. D. Great Pyramid at Giza was built. '25. In 1650 BC, the Hyksos invaded Egypt. Which letter represents where you would place that event? A. Before A. B. Before B. C. Next to C. D. After E. 26. Based on the events on the timeline, which event had an important impact on ancient Egyptian architecture? A. Reign of Hammurabians. B. Stepped pyramid is built for Pharaoh Zoser. C. Reign of Sargon the Great begins. D. Use of papyrus as writing material. 27. Which two events on the timeline took place closest to each other? A. Great Pyramid at Giza built plus reign of Hammurabians. B. Royal tombs of Ur plus step pyramid is built for Pharaoh Zoser. C. Hammurabi rules the Babylonian Empire plus first intermediate period begins. D. Royal tombs at Ur plus first intermediate period begins. 29. The Nile, the world's longest river, rises in the highlands of East Africa and flows northward to the Mediterranean Sea. Egypt is a land surrounded by miles and miles of desert. The source of the Nile River puzzled the people of ancient Egypt. What was not a mystery to them was that without the Nile, Egypt would have been a barren desert instead of a thriving empire. Identify 4 ways that ancient Egypt benefited from the use of the Nile River. Write your answer in the space below.
Please stop the video.